Welcome, welcome. Theosis Day to every single one of you tuning in and watching us today. Welcome to Lead with Intention, where every single week I, your host, Coach Ambereen, shows up here ready to serve you. It's an honor to have crossed paths with you, to be here in this exact moment where you and I, know where you're watching from, are here together, prioritizing ourselves and hopefully learning a little bit more. As my intention is to give this community you know, um, the ability to learn, grow, and apply something to better their own lives. As always, your time is the most valuable commodity, and you're giving that to me today. And I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming up. This woman is amazing. But before we do that, welcome to Spanglish World Network and Zingo TV, channels 250 and 251. Remember to download the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores iOS, Android, the whole Chromecast device lineup, Amazon lineup, Fire Stick lineup, any smart TV 2016 on forward, and our app is completely free. What does that mean to you? Download it, rate us, give us some review, tell us what we need to improve, but then also drop in some good nuggets and tell us what we're doing well for you because we're here, right now, through this app and this platform to just do one thing, and that's to serve you. Okay, so let's get started. We have an amazing, amazing guest for you today, Anna, who I literally met very recently. But she's somebody who was willing to raise her hand, and that's what I love. Be courageous. I'll try this new thing. So Anna is a world leader and expert on mindful parenting. You guys already know I love her because of those words that just came out of my mouth. Anna grew up with a mom who had severe schizophrenia. As a teenager, she began to feel empty and lonely. And what that led to was depression and even some um, some concerns and some issues with eating disorder. Okay. And all of this led her to become the former vice president, and a family leader in NAMI. And NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Health, which is the largest group that organizes this organization that helps affected people affected by mental illnesses. Okay. Not only just them, but also their family, which is how you can kind of see how Anna's like really taking her own life and striving and pushing for the intention and purposeful living. All right, which is what we love on this show. But before she became a mom, check this out. She's a pretty big deal. She was an international journalist, and she interviewed people like Steve Jobs and hung out with Bollywood, Hollywood stars like Steven Spielberg. Like, who doesn't want to do that? Carrie Fisher, Tom Cruise. Off after she became a mom. Really want you guys to listen to this one. You're hanging out with the top and the coolest people in Hollywood. But when she became a mom, she found a power within herself that she just unleashed. Something wanted to come out. And I think that's when she became really obsessed with parenting and becoming an amazing orchestra conductor, is what she calls it, which I love. Anna believes that she's not special, which means what you're doing, what she's doing, you and I can do as well. And she believes that if you follow the method and if you really take her on as your coach, she can really start to take all these years of education and knowledge to serve you and help thousands and thousands of parents all across the globe. Welcome to the show, Ana Vega.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Wonderful. All right. So the way we like to start these conversations off is I would love for you to tell us something about yourself. Who are you and what is it that you do?
Okay, I'm a parenting coach, and what I do really, when most of the families that are my clients have a child with some kind of challenge, like maybe they have defiance or ADHD,
Mm,
OCD, depression, anxiety, even autism, and or also one of the parents are dealing with a mental health issue like depression or anxiety. Like, for example, something like 70% of moms with children with autism suffer from depression themselves. So there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of burnout, and I come in and I help them. I've had families who have been with, let's say, a family therapy for a full year and nothing changes. And with my program, where I explain what I do. Within 3 weeks, there are already big changes happening. So that's
all
very
right.
exciting.
Super. I love it. So tell me this. When you're talking about individuals who are going through some type of I guess, almost a mental disorder, but condition that is kind of outside what they want to feel and be. And you're saying that in just 3 weeks, they can start to feel a shift and a pivot. What are they feeling at that time?
The parents themselves learn to observe themselves. I call it, the four domino pieces. So when you're dealing with a stressful situation with your child, what the first thing that happens is our bodies get tense. That's the first thing. So body sensations. Then that's the first domino piece. Then is an emotion. It comes up, and then a thought, a train of thoughts, a bunch of thoughts, and then the action, which is verbal action, saying something or doing something. So they learn to observe themselves like, wow, this is what my unconscious programming of the four domino pieces falling, like they fall one after the other. They never saw how they had no control over that. They don't choose to react the way they react with the children. They never just woke up one day and say, when my child is, being slow, putting on their shoes, I'm going to yell at them. They didn't choose that. And then later when they do, let's say yell at the child, later they feel guilty. And they're like, why did I do that? That's not me. Exactly. That wasn't you. It's not personal. You don't choose your even thoughts. You don't choose your actions.
So when you're saying that, go ahead, actually. Please go.
So they start, by the third week, they start kind of like watching themselves slow motion, doing the same reactions, but observing them, and then they are able to stop themselves instead of being so impulsive. So then when they change, they're the conductor of the orchestra. So if they conduct, with a lot of, noise, the child who has the flute is going to play, very loud music, right? So it's, that's why I call it, the parents are the conductors and the children are the musicians.
So what I'm hearing is you're saying that basically parents are leading with a role model mindset and by example, which is something that's like the core of my program as well.
Yes.
And it's this thing of now choosing your actions and your reaction versus just having it kind of go the way they've been doing it for a long time. Now, tell me a little bit more about this beautiful concept of being the conductor of an orchestra as a parent. Why did you come up with that, and what does that mean for you?
I don't know how I came up with that. How I didn't choose the idea. Our ideas, we don't choose them. They just show up, right? So I don't know what I thought about. That's creativity, right? You don't know where it comes from, yes, that the parents themselves, poor things, they've been trying maybe for years to change their own behavior and the child, try to change the child's behavior. Everybody's frustrated. The sad thing is that parents themselves are the ones that many times, I don't know what the percentage is, a very, very high percentage, but the parents themselves are causing most of the problems. They're causing the child to develop depression. They cause the child to develop anxiety. And I did not do it on purpose, of course, not at all. But that's the the research. That's why so important. Like NAMI, parents that come and get educated. All the services in NAMI are free, and the courses and everything, and they learn what they were doing wrong. Which 100% of the people do everything wrong. 100% of the people do what is wrong. So by changing how they talk to the child, the expectations of the child, and the expectations of themselves, is this constant forgiveness. Constant forgiveness of yourself, forgiving your mind for thinking these thoughts, and forgiving your child for whatever they doing. Is this constant forgiveness of the imperfection of how we are. And yes, at the heart of everything is forgiveness, because we do not choose to be mean. Nobody wakes up in the morning. Nobody wakes up to have negative experiences. Nobody wakes up saying, I haven't been depressed in a while. I'm going to be depressed today. Nobody chooses that. Like, nobody wakes up saying, I'm going to be mean to my child this morning. Nobody chooses that. So you realize that our thoughts are not, even our emotions are not, they're not chosen. They're impersonal. They're actually psychophysiological processes of the brain. Does it make sense?
Tell me more a little bit about that, because for every single one of you who's watching and tuned in and really are trying to explore this whole concept of parenting,
Yes.
I think it would be great to really understand what do you mean by that?
Okay, this is based on Buddhism. Buddha was a neuroscientist, but that's what he was, and he figured out how our minds work and how the thoughts come and go, and we attach to the thoughts. Let's say mm, because of your childhood, like in my case, for example, um, I learned my mind learned my system learned that for me it was better to survive in an environment if I had certain thoughts. Let's say because my mom has severe schizophrenia, but also she was very violent, and she wasn't violent because of the illnesses, because she learned that that's how you live life, right? And like people who come from violent
Mm,
environments, they're violent themselves. So it wasn't because of her mental illness, but anyway. So I learned to be extremely quiet, extremely still, and not say anything. Don't ask for anything. Don't complain. Don't because it could mean that she would be getting very mad. So my system
mm.
taught me in order to survive to stay quiet, and eventually became people pleasing, right? So
Okay.
so I didn't choose my programming. I've been walking around like a robot with a program that I didn't choose. And the program I'm
Okay.
talking about is these psychophysiological processes, that have been designed in my mind in order to survive. When I was a child, and any
Mm-hmm.
animal or plant, they adapt to the environment, right? So that's you adapted to that, and then your whole life you have that program in you, and then you don't choose the kind of thoughts you think about yourself, the image you have of yourself, and how you react to things. For example, let's say we are in a restaurant and there's like a fight in the corner. It's very loud. Maybe we all our bodies would get tense. That's like an animal instinct. We get tense. Our muscles get tense.
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe suddenly I would just go under the table. Maybe you would run out the door. Somebody else would pee them their pants. Somebody would join the fight. Somebody would calmly approach
Mm.
and say, "Hey, so why the same? It's like this threat. Why so many different kinds of reactions? I don't choose my reaction to be to hide under the table. So it is realizing that when we are with your children, how you have been treating them, what you've been saying and thinking about them, you didn't choose any of that. You didn't understand that you were causing this problem. You didn't understand how your mind was thinking and why. You didn't understand why you were reacting the way you were. So you have to forgive yourself, because you were not really responsible for the programming, that you had. And the programming comes not only from the family, but also the culture, right? So it is a parenting program, but people then apply the tools that they learn. They learn so many different tools everywhere in their lives. I mean, it changes their whole life, because they approach, themselves with infinite compassion and loving kindness, and also infinite compassion towards others, because they realize that other people, they're not really choosing the behaviors and the actions. Does it make sense?
So it does make sense. So what I hear you saying is you're kind of taking the pre-programming of these parents, right? Like the way that things were, and trying to make them understand that the change has to come within, so we don't pass this on to the next generation.
Yes.
When you're working with individuals, who are going through your program, and how do you allow them to break free and start to live into a new reality?
They do it organically because of certain visualizations. We do some like rehearsals, some meditations of observation, and then the other different kinds of meditations that we do, very important meditations that, for example, one of the meditations we do, they say that the most important part of the program was forgiveness meditation that I do, which is,
Mm.
situations of the past that they didn't really hadn't really healed from. Within 15 minutes, they can heal from that.
15 minutes or 50?
15. It happened. It's amazing.
15.
Yes,
Okay,
things that.
so
Mhm.
I've never done this before on the show. I'm just going to lead with my heart like I always do. I actually want to ask you permission for a request.
Yes.
May I ask something of you?
Well, you can ask, and let's see what the answer is.
Yeah. Is it possible for us to experience just a snippet, maybe a 2 minute of this forgiveness meditation? Because I really think the audience members that are listening
Okay.
could see what you're offering and then lean on you to say, can you, like, that 2 minutes felt so amazing, Anna. I really want to launch into your program. I want to forgive myself and everyone in my past to move on to a better future. What do you say to that?
Yes, we can do that, of course. But let me start with the introduction. Like, let's say, let me ask you: have you ever hurt yourself with your thoughts,
Oh, yeah.
with decisions? Okay, many times. How many times?
Yeah, but now it's, as of recent, it's becoming less and less. But before,
But you
like,
have hurt
all
yourself
the
in the past with your thoughts or with decisions you've made, right? How many
hmm
times have you hurt others? A few.
I would say a lot less than myself. Few
Okay, but you
times.
have hurt others.
Yes,
Okay.
of course, you're human. You gotta hurt them.
Yes. Yeah. So by you understanding that you are behind everything, you are love.
Mm.
So when you were hurting yourself, you were not doing it in purpose. You were like being pulled by these, you know, subconscious, tendencies, action tendencies. So
Mm.
by understanding that, you can forgive yourself, and then you can forgive yourself for hurting others. So let's do like this is not how normally I do it, but let's do just because you asked for 2 minutes. I'm gonna just do like a little taste, but it's not really how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can do the meditation. We can close our eyes and relax the whole bodies from the top of the head to the feet. Relax everything. I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for hurting myself. I just did not understand. I did not understand that I was caught in my unwholesome emotions. I didn't know I was causing this problem. I forgive myself for hurting myself. I just did not understand. I forgive myself for hurting others. You can think of a specific person, maybe. I forgive myself for hurting this person. I just did not understand. I did not understand that I was caught up in my unwholesome emotion. I didn't know I was causing this problem. I just did not understand. And you can think of someone who has hurt you in the past. I forgive you for hurting me. You just did not understand. You did not understand that you were caught in your unwholesome emotions. You didn't know you were causing this problem. You just did not understand. Okay. So this is not normally how it is done. This is like a little taste.
Thank you for allowing us to taste it. And not only just me, but every single one of you who is listening. I really hope that that small, 2 minutes was something you felt, something that you can use. But more importantly, Anna, how can people reach out to you? Where can they find you in the work that you're doing to really bring back peace, harmony, love, compassion, and forgiveness into our own lives? The future generations don't have to suffer the way that we did.
Sure. I share now, but I have to say, if we have resentment towards ourselves, resentment toward others, guilt, hate, anything, if we keep that and don't heal from that, we suffer. We still suffer. And we still, that suffering turns into tension in the body, actually. And then we are not able to see ourselves and others with compassion. So that's why it's so deep. The healing is so deep that then you don't have to really. I mean, they all have some tools, to use with your child, but help to motivate your children to do, the homework and things like that, right? Practical things. But what parents they communicate emotionally more than verbally. I mean, like you can hear the emotion behind your words, behind your body language. That's what they really are hearing. So if you have a lot of tension because of resentment or guilt, that energy is within you. So whatever you communicate with your children, even if you try to be super patient or compassionate, you still have that energy of resentment within you that is somehow is communicated to everybody. So yeah, people can find me. There are different ways to do it. One is my website is Anna with one N, and then my last name Vega, Vega. So it's Anna Vega .co. No .com, but co. Anna Vega .co. Or also on LinkedIn, you can look for Anna Vega and write, let's say, parental burnout, or look Anna Vega Los Angeles coach, let's say. If you can find me that way. And and then you can, we can have a conversation. I have complimentary, discovery calls, and I can see what's going on and see if I can help you or not. And we just have a conversation about it.
Yeah, so folks, AnnaVega.co is where you can go, or LinkedIn Anna Vega, parental burnout, and she's in Los Angeles. So I think it's like the work that you're doing, I think is so required. It's so beautiful because if we can't let go of our past, we keep serving up our loved ones, the people that matter to us the most, with the exact same toxicity, with the exact same energy, and it doesn't serve anyone. However, I really encourage um, parents to reach out to Anna, and just all you've got. Like honestly, I tell the people that are, my clients as well. I'm like, just book a call. It's complimentary. See if I'm your person. See if Anna's your person. See if the calmness, the peace, the compassion, and the knowledge that she's sharing with you is something that'll benefit you. Worst comes to worst, you'll come out with four things on how to do something a little bit better, right? Or come out with like these aha moments or these insights to say, "Oh wow, this really does need to happen in my life." Now I know it's like a seed is planted, and when the time is right, it'll just come to fruition. So
Yes.
give yourself that grace, give yourself that gift. Really reach out to Anna, book that complimentary call, and see where life takes you. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. So now answer this question for me: what does lead with intentions or intentional living mean for you, Anna?
It means to live based on my values, and it is trying not to. Um, well, but first is to to be mindful. Mindfulness. People have an idea of mindfulness, what mindfulness is, and mindfulness really
Mhm.
is to remember how the mind moves from one thing to another.
Okay.
How the mind, what the mind is doing in this moment, and also living with my intention is to make choices and decisions that do not harm others, so that I try to make decisions or do things that are loving to myself and any
Mm.
limit. Yeah. Be- oh, bless you.
Please keep going. I had to sneeze. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Yes, because it's something interesting that whenever you know how people maybe they judge somebody, oh, this person did this, or they parked this way, or this person did. When we're judging others, we're teaching our brain to judge people. But you know what? We are people too. So the brain doesn't know the difference between those people and these people. I mean, that person, this person.
Mm-hmm.
So um, the more you're able to think of others with understanding and compassion, the more then you can do that with yourself, and you don't have to torture yourself with judgment or impatience or expectations, and just accept um, yourself and forgive yourself for any mistakes. Even when you're judging someone, forgive yourself for judging someone. When you judge yourself, forgive yourself for judging yourself. It's constant forgiveness.
It is. I think it's beautiful that you're saying that, when before our bedtime, before the little humans actually, go off to sleep and rest and rejuvenate, a part of our prayer is, I forgive those who have hurt me today. And I ask you to forgive me for my shortcomings. And then we kind of name, categories. And then at the end of it, we say, um, and most importantly, I forgive myself.
Mhm.
And I love that you're talking about, the judgments that we have and the way that we perceive other people often comes from, I think, the lack within ourselves, because those I've noticed that judge others really judge themselves as well. They don't have that self love and that compassion. So we're talking about being mindful. And let's say somebody starts to see, and they're mindful that their body's getting tense, and then their emotions are surfacing and their thoughts are appearing. Now, what action can they take to change what they're feeling, to be more
Okay.
mindful of what they want to do?
Okay. So when we are angry, let's say, or tense, it's all chemistry, right? So all that, cortisol and all of those, not yummy chemicals. So when you're tense, the not yummy chemicals are all over the place, right? So one thing is to recognize that that's going on, embrace it, not try to suppress it or judge it or anything. It's like, oh, this is what's happening right now, and then release it, and then you relax, and then to bring a wholesome emotion, it's simply to smile. This is based on science. Because when you smile, they say it's like eating 1,000 bars of chocolate. What happens in your brain when you smile is serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, everything good. That's what happens. And this is smiling meditation. If you decide, I'm going to smile all day long, you will see how crazy it is, how, you know, happy you are. Like you see the colors, you're in a good mood, you don't have bad thoughts, I mean, it's like you want like a happy pill. You just have to smile all day long. It's like smiling meditation. You could do that, and so it's playing within, neurobiology too, it's part of it too, because it's like if you are in a bad mood and you say, well, I shouldn't be in a bad mood, but the bad mood was created by bad chemistry, let's say. Well, how do you create good chemistry to have good thoughts? You just play with the chemistry. That's all you do, you know Yes, because like when someone is like, let's say, very sad or depressed, the last thing they want to do is smile and laugh, right?
Yeah.
Leave me alone, I want to be here, all, which it makes sense. But if you, that's the last thing people want to do, smile and laugh. So what's the first thing you should do? Smile and laugh. Put on a comedy. You know, my point is that you can rewire your mind, your brain, by changing every time you have you're down or whatever. You can get out of it, and then becomes automatic later. Like you train. It's like a training a dog, right? Like like with anything. So, and then our children, they of course, they watch like hawks. So if they how something interesting, when you watch someone criticizing somebody else, like judging somebody else, let's say you're on the road and you say, oh, that driver, whatever, for that person, it is almost the same as if you're judging them. And so that creates a stress, and maybe you're judging people because the more stressed out we are, the more we judge people. The more stressed out tension we have, the more our mind is a judgmental mind. And the stress is contagious. It's super contagious. I call it secondhand stress. How if a friend calls you and they say, oh, this happened, and you're like, suddenly you're like stressed out, right? So, and we communicate stress to our children through four things. It's like the tone of voice, how we look at them, our body language, and our touch. So they, even if you try to fake, that you're, fake it, you're not stressed out, they still feel that you're stressed out. Even babies, it's amazing. They've done studies with babies. Babies can feel when the mom or the father is stressed out when they hold them. They can just feel it. It's incredible. So yeah, you're the conductor completely of the orchestra. Even if you try to fake to play a nice slow song, they still feel you're like.
Oh, I mean, I think there's so many nuggets that you're dropping, and I pray for every single one of you who's tuned in thus far and listening and watching and observing and noticing. You know, I think as parents, we don't really realize how much of our stress we give off to our kids.
Yes.
And sometimes we may catch in our tone of our voice. Sometimes I would say hardly. We notice in the way that we look at them, but
Yes.
they know you're looking at them differently. And what you said is that body language is such a great communicator, because we know, from research, that 70% of our communication is through our body language. So ain't nobody listening to you. I tell people all the time, like, nobody's listening to you. They're just watching you.
And the
So
tone
like,
of voice. Yeah, the tone of
and the
voice
tone,
too.
yeah, the tone of voice, right? And then that touch, it's so brilliant, how when I look back in my own life, my second is very it was like an energy sponge, and he would know how to be, and even know even when to smile in front of who, depending on the energy that he felt, because he could feel that touch. You know, he could feel the difference in the hug or maybe in the high five or even in the smile, because sometimes we fake our smiles and our kids can see right through it, but we think otherwise, you know. And I think it's so beautiful to say that there's so many ways that we as parents are giving something away to our children and even to our partners or even to our loved ones, you know, without even really taking notice of it. So I want to ask you, you know, I want to really ask you this. Can you share something with us that is, that will allow us to get to know your family dynamics and your family a little bit better, Anna?
My family, my origin, family of origin, or my family now.
And anything that will allow us to tap into that unit of family.
Well, my family of origin was chaotic. My mom had very severe mental illness. He was in and out of the hospital. My dad was, poor guy, man of his generation. There was so much emotional neglect, because now I understand it wasn't the problem. We were moving a lot because my dad's job. So we moved a lot. It's very chaotic. But if I had someone, at least one person that would give me emotional support, it would have made a huge, huge, huge difference. Because that's what matters, is the emotional support. If that's there, chaos can happen. But if you have that, you're fine. And then with my own child, I when he was born, I read every book you can read about child psychology and brain development, but I still had a long way to go, and I started learning more and more. But you know, it is one of the, because nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. And one of the biggest tools in the parents' toolkit, or I call it a superpower, because the superpowers is repair. Most parents don't know how to repair when there's a conflict, when there's a moment of whatever tension. And even if the child does something mean or whatever to a sibling or to the parent, and the parent also did something bad or wrong or whatever, the parent, even if the child who was the first one to do something wrong, is the parent the one that always first has to go to apologize. Always first. And apologize the right way. Because if there's no apology, that moment stays as trauma in the body. There has to be repair always, with children, of course, with anybody. That's one of the biggest tools, because yes, everybody is going to make mistakes. Forgive yourself for making mistakes and then go and repair.
Now, why do you think, Anna, it's so important to be the first to apologize to your children?
Because the child is not going to come to you. They don't feel empowered to do that. You have to be the one that is empowered, because when you know something interesting, when you apologize, your self-esteem gets better and their self-esteem gets better. Both people. It's magical. So you being the adult, the empowered one, supposedly, do it for your child, but do it like, oh my God, when I'm gonna apologize now, I'm gonna improve my self-esteem. Wow, that's like a gift to myself and a gift to my child. And that's why you have to be first. The child is not gonna do it. Children don't come to apologize. They feel ashamed.
So,
They feel ashamed. They feel guilty. They feel horrible. They feel like bad people. They don't have the tools. So you have to be the role model, right? The conductor. You have to be the one that teaches them, by you doing it. You're the model. You're the role model, always with everything.
and let's say I'm gonna challenge that a little bit. Let's say there are parents who are listening and who are like, no, I'm not going to always apologize, even if it's their mistake. They know how to say sorry. They know how to do it. They've been taught, they've been trained, they've been raised. And at the age of 14, I'm not expecting to say sorry for the things that they're doing wrong, knowing that they are. How do you bring back that concept of, go ahead.
Give me an example.
Sure. So the parent says, you know what, your room's not clean. And I've asked you twice this week. So I'm expecting you to do it right now before you go out to play. And the kid gets mad. They bang the door shut. Like, God, she's such a control freak. She always wants me to do it. She wants me to do it. Everything has to be perfect. It has to be clean. And like it goes on. Now, clearly, The parent is like, well, I was composed and I really thought through my words and I didn't react.
Oh, you did
How do
nothing
you
wrong.
have,
You did nothing wrong, you're saying.
yeah, as a parent, you're just like,
Okay. Okay.
or as a, yeah,
No, I was saying like let's say conflict and both people do some say it's, you yell or you do something wrong, right? In that case, then yes, you will be the one you will be the first one to apologize. But in this case, you did nothing wrong. You were just making a request, right? And they have a bad reaction. I call it stress reaction. Children stress behave. We stress behave. You know, they don't misbehave. They stress behave. So in that case, then you have to what a tool that I use that I put together that I call two hearts boundaries. So you're gonna take care of your heart. You're going to take care of their heart and your heart when you set boundaries. So the first thing is you're gonna take care of their heart by being empathetic. You're gonna say, "I understand you are frustrated because you want to play inside or whatever, right? Whatever. I understand that you didn't want to do this. I understand that you were angry because of this." Okay. When you are empathetic, you bring the wall down, and they're gonna be able to listen. And then you become vulnerable and you say, and you take care of your heart because your heart is important too. When you talk to me like that, in that tone of voice, it hurt. I know your intention was not to hurt me, but it hurt. So you're teaching them how to be empathetic, you're teaching them how to be vulnerable, and then you set the boundary. And you say, please, next time, because when a child makes a mistake, they feel like a failure. So if you give them the chance to be successful in the future, they're gonna feel so much more like it's a relief. You say, please, in the future or next time, talk to me this way or ask me this way. Or you can say, okay, next time, let's come up together with a plan. What do you think we should do in the future? So it's a team effort to avoid or to prevent the same thing from happening in the future. So there's no confrontation whatsoever. There's empathy, there's vulnerability, and there's like team effort or like a request of please next time do this. Does it make sense? That I'm
it does because I'm doing something right. Yeah.
good.
I think that's brilliant. I think it is true. I think a lot of times as parents, and my kids start to say, "Oh my God!" Like, in all honesty, I'm not an emotional person, right? But what I do is I tap into my emotions when I'm feeling them, and I do communicate them to my kids now, which is a shift for them because they haven't seen mom being like this most of their life. And it's because I want to normalize everything that we feel. Like I'll say to my kid, right now, I'm so angry with you right now. You have no idea the thoughts in my mind. And believe me, you don't want to know. However, I'm going to expect that we talk about this when you're a little bit more calm. So let me know when that is. Right. And I think for me, it is true. And, like saying that next time I would like for you to dot, dot, dot. And then I actually go back and I go a step further and I say, is that possible? And they might say yes, then great. That's kind of a something that's said. If they say no, I'll be like, okay, like let's come up with something. Tell me what you think would help in that situation. But mine, just need you to leave me alone when I'm hot headed. Okay, so how would I know? And then usually, like in our house, we have like signals for things. Like whatever it is, like if they're like this, like a peace sign or something, and then I'm like, oh, okay, like I know not to bother you right now. Or if it's like a thumbs down, like no goes on, I don't go here. So I think it's so beautiful to be able to not only articulate the challenges and the emotions that we have, because it is right. As parents, I think we hide our own or we think we're hiding our emotions from our kids, but in reality, we're just like spitting it all out through this energy. However, when we say to them, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, in a kind, respectful, compassionate, loving manner, then we tell them that, yeah, you're human. And when you feel bad for spilling like my daughter today, she literally had a whole thing with like, Mama, you're going to be mad at me. I'm already late. You're going to be mad at me. And I was like, Baba, what is it? No, you're going to be mad at me. You're getting more mad at me. I'm like, I'm not mad at you. What is it? She goes, and then she's like this whole facade in her head. And I said, Baba, you're going to make me mad by not telling me. How can I help you? What's going on? She goes, I washed the shoelaces. Yes. but I didn't put them on my shoe. We're gonna be even later. And I said, okay, well, we're about to miss the bus. I'll just drive you to school. But you gotta communicate that with me. And she said sorry to me like 6 times. And I was like, for what? And I said, what? And I said to her, she goes, no, I forgot, I failed. And I was like, great, welcome to being human. So I love this concept of not only leading, but normalizing emotions for our children. Can you let us know, Anna, because you are a family driven coach, and this will probably be the last question, even though I really want to keep going. Please share something, that in your own home is a challenge that you're working to overcome.
As a parent or just as a person? I mean,
Just as a parent, let's dive into that because you are a parent coach.
mm-hmm. Good question. Not take personally anything. That's why then you don't get mad. If you don't take anything personal, then you cannot get mad.
Yeah.
Because it's not about you.
One of the four agreements.
Yeah.
Take nothing personally. I love it. And we talked about this extensively in my own group coaching. So I love how you're reminding me of exactly what I need to be reminded of. Okay. When you say that, like kind of drop in a little bit of why it's important not to take things personally so our audience and our viewers can actually start to practice that a little bit more.
Do you remember when we were talking about forgiveness, how you have hurt yourself different times, how you have hurt others, but it wasn't really you. It wasn't the real you doing that. So when people do or say things to you that are mean or hurtful, you realize that it's not them. They don't choose that. Same way you really didn't choose to hurt your child when you did or say something mean. It wasn't a choice. So whenever they're doing something that it could be mean to you, they're not really choosing that. They're caught up in their own unwholesome emotion. By unwholesome emotion, I mean non-harmonious emotion, non-loving emotion.
Yeah.
They're caught up in that. They're like in a trance. You know how when you have hurt others, you lost your patience, you're like in a trance. It's not you. It's not really you. You like being possessed by your emotions. Because later, you're like, wow, that wasn't really, that's not me. That's not, it's true. It's not you, we get possessed by our emotions. And then you do and say things that are not really, don't come from you. Where did they come from? They don't come from you because way behind everything is your love,
Like that disconnect between the soul and the mind is when you're talking about, and for those of you who are listening, the you is that the authentic real you is that spirit, that soul.
Yes.
And when Anna's saying it's not you, it's basically the programming of this world and this mind and your experience that's kind of leading you to do this. So I think that's a beautiful place to hopefully end for this time, and then of course we can have a lot more of these. So got this amazing ritual on the show. It's called an intentional wrap up, or the rapid fire questions. So I'll ask you a set of questions, just one word answers or one sentence answers to kind of just make it super quick. Ready?
Okay, great.
Look at it, she's setting all up, right? She's like, I'm ready for this. Okay. What do you want to leave behind for the world, Anna?
Joyful hearts.
Okay. How will you know that you've led an intentional life?
When I live with this joy in my heart.
If you could create one law that everyone had to follow, what would that law be?
Don't take anything personal.
I love it. What is one lesson? I know there are many of them. What's one lesson that you think is worthy of sharing, which has made you who you are today?
One lesson. Forgiveness is the answer to everything.
Okay. And the last one here for you. What is the key to a healthy relationship?
Forgive yourself, forgive the other person.
All right. Well, thank you so very much, Anna, for being here, tuned in with us. And I really pray that every single one of you who's watching has learned something, has found a moment and an action that you can take from this conversation to better your own life. That way you can start to impact all the people around you even more positively. As always, it is Anna Vega, VEGA.co, where you can reach her. You can also reach out to her on LinkedIn and book that free discovery call or for that free conversation just to see where you're at in your life. But thank you so very much, Anna, for this pleasure and for this honor. It was wonderful to have you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it so much, much more than I imagined. It was great. It was,
I love
you're
it.
amazing.
Okay. For every single one of you, this show can be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and the programmings. As we close today, my prayer is that this show will embark us on a transformative path to be in gratitude for all the blessings that we have, accept the unfoldings of life, and commit to values and dreams which will allow us to tap into our own greatness. As I have tawakkul, which means faith, in every single one of us. When we unleash our authenticity, we start to live intentionally. Remember, there's only one of you. Live a life by design and design it with excellence. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it. Most importantly, live into it with intention to better serve yourself. Thank you much, folks. Until next week. Bye.